The Health Department may have a new minister, but the digital vibe scandal remains a dark cloud over the department. Its Director General, Dr. Sandile Buthelezi, has taken leave amid reports that he was due to be suspended for his alleged involvement in the controversial communications contract. President Cyril Ramaphosa said this week that in the interest of fairness, he's given the people implicated in the 150 million rand corruption scandal an opportunity to challenge the SIU report, or at least its publication. The DA, Siviwe Gwarube, had long been calling for the Director General to be suspended, along with former Health Minister Zweli Mkhize. Gwarube joins us live now from Cape Town to talk about the latest developments. Siviwe, always good to have you on Newsfeed PM. So how have you been making sense of the kind of leave that the Director General is currently on? Because there are varying reports about why exactly he's taken time off.
Thank you, Tembegile. I think the reason why the suspension of the DG at this point in time is strange is because the minister hasn't actually played open cards to say this is what the SIU report has said about the senior management in the department. As a result, these are the actions that we are taking against those people who are implicated. In fact, we asked this exact question to the minister about last week when we met as a committee and asked these very specific questions. What is going to happen to the people who are implicated in the department, who are still in the employ of the department? And so he needs to play open cards to say these are the reasons why these people have been suspended, and this is the process that we are following. But instead, he made this this change in the middle of the night, where the DG took leave, and then he appointed an acting DG on Thursday night. And yet, there's still no clarity as to who are the people who are implicated and what actions is he taking to clean up the rot in the department.
So, Minister Zweli Mkhize, we know the president announced that he'd now placed him on special or precautionary leave when it happened, and ultimately was allowed to leave the health department on his own terms on the eve of a cabinet reshuffle. Do you see the Mutelezi matter going that way as well?
Well, look, I mean, not if we have anything to do with it. I mean, I think that's why we've been calling for the publication of the SIU report, because it is that very mechanism that we want to actually activate. We want to make sure that the recommendations of the SIU are carried out. The SIU says it has referred some matters to the NPA, so we want to make sure exactly who is implicated and what actions are being taken against them. Because again, Tembegile, it's important that we don't simply have political solutions to criminal problems. If people have broken the law and they have misappropriated public funds, then they need to be taken to jail, and a criminal investigation must ensue. So it can't simply be a matter of senior management just simply, slinking off into the darkness without actually being held accountable.
And just on that, the former minister Zweli Mkhize, of course, is the political face of the scandal. Him, along with the members of his family, his son primarily, accused of receiving monies from the likes of Tahira Matha, right? Let's talk about why DG Mutelezi in particular requires or should be under scrutiny for the benefit of people who've not been following the story at that level of detail.
Well, it's simply this. The PFMA, Tembegile, makes it very clear that the Director General is the accounting authority of the department. So while the Minister Mkhize was the political head, the DG was the accounting authority. So which means all matters relating to procurement in the department have to go through the DG. In fact, what shouldn't have happened, none of those contracts should have actually gone to Minister Mkhize, because there is a separation between the administration and the politicians. But it seems as though the matter had been seen by Minister Mkhize, or he had signed for it. It's still unclear at this stage. But ultimately, the PFMA makes it forces the DG to say that if there is anything untoward, or there are matters that are of procurement that are looking shady, or whatever the case may be, it needs to be reported to the National Treasury. And the DG in this case failed to do so. So he failed to uphold certain provisions of the PFMA, which is his primary function as the accounting authority. Because as accounting authority, you've got oversight on the department's finances. And so this is where he would be culpable if in fact that's what has been found. Because if he failed to uphold the PFMA, then he would have broken the law. And so that is what we will be looking at. And that is what was the basis of the criminal charges that we laid against Dr. Buthelezi several months ago.
And the issue of the Director General is perhaps more curious because he'd only just arrived essentially in the health department when all of this is alleged to have started to gain pace and this contract was awarded. How would you sum up his contribution in the period of just over a year that he's been in the role?
Yes, I mean, so because when we now know when the matter started, when Digital Vibes started with the department, it was in 2019, and at the time, the department had an acting DG, Dr. Anban Pillay. And then Dr. Mutelezi then came into the department, I think it was in June last year. But again, Thembekile, I think that the reason why there is culpability on the side of the DG is because he would have had sight of various documents. He would have signed off on various amounts. And the reality is that as that SIU affidavit lays out, I mean, the no procurement processes, proper procurement processes were followed. And the actual Digital Vibes contract was actually about 50 million rand more expensive than a bidder that had more experience. And so all of these things would have come in to the DG for sign-off. And if he had seen that something was wrong, he had the duty and the obligation to report the matter to National Treasury, which he did not. So, while the matters, the whole Digital Vibes crisis started before his time, the reality is that there are certain things that he would have had to sign off, and he didn't flag as being problematic.
So final question then. You've got Dr. Nicholas Crisp, who's now gone into the role of acting Director General, while Dr. Buthelezi is on this leave, this period of leave. Can the department afford to go with an acting DG indefinitely?
No, absolutely not. And you will remember, I mean, Dr. Buthelezi has only been now the DJ for just about a year. And there's been great instability in the department, in the senior management of the department, because the previous DG left, and then Dr. Anban Pillay acted, and then you've got Dr. Buthelezi, and now Dr. Crisp is now acting. The reality here, Thembekile, is that the new minister needs to find his mettle, and he needs to show leadership, and he needs to clean out that entire senior management. And he needs to do so with pace, because otherwise then what you do is you start to allow the rot to set in. Then he becomes a new minister who's just a figurehead, and he doesn't effect real change. So he needs to take that report, implement the recommendations of the SIU, clean out that senior management, get a permanent DG, and get going. Otherwise, then the problems of the previous minister will continue to dog him, and he will simply not have any change.
Siviwe Gwarube, DA, member of the Portfolio Committee on Health, speaking to us this afternoon. Thank you, Siviwe.